On this week's World of Saltwater Fishing, I'll be trailering down my Mako 214 to Key Largo in the Florida Keys. I'll be teaming up with Chris Hansen to fish the patch reefs between 10 feet of water and 20 feet of water. Don't miss this exciting and informative episode.
George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing. Big fish don't stand a chance.
Of all the angling opportunities available to those who travel to the Florida Keys, the patch reefs offer remarkable fishing between the months of November through the spring, when the water's cool and a lot of bait move into the shallows. This is not a hard fishery at all. In fact, a lot of families can partake in this, and even the most restless type of anglers that are always looking to bend the rod will find this right to their taking. So, in Key Largo, I joined up with friend Captain Chris Hansen. Chris is a really remarkable guide when it comes to producing incredible catches in the backcountry, especially around Key Largo proper. And also, he's a patch reef specialist.
Patch reef fishing in Key Largo, it pretty much starts when we get the north winds that blow in. Sometimes they start early as October or November. And once we start getting that little bit of temperature drop, the patch reefs really start getting fired up.
So he and I got together in November, which is really the kickoff to the shallow water patch reef fishing in the Florida Keys. Again, the water's cool. There's a lot of bait that moves into these shallow waters at this time. And the bits and pieces of sea fans and coral that you find interspersed among this mostly sandy bottom are basically home to a lot of key bottom fish species. I met up with Chris Hansen behind Sundowners, where he typically runs out of. So, first rule, let's go out and get some live bait. Live bait presents a lot of unique opportunities. And if you can get on the pilchards and really blacken out your live well, that gives you the opportunity to go out and actually live chum and bring up all sorts of fish. We got to an area, a couple good throws of the net, and the live well on the Mako 214 was blacked out. We had all the live bait that we were gonna need.
Well, when we go out and we do these patch reef trips, I mean, you get a lot of bait, you go out there, it's instant action. You throw out a scoop of pilchards and they hit the water, and those pilchards go crazy. And them fish start popping them on the surface, and then it's one after the other after the other.
Once the bait was procured, we made our way underneath the Marvin D. Adams Bridge, through the waterway, through the Pennycamp Park maze, and out towards the open Atlantic. And some of the spots that we had, that we planned on fishing, were in 10, 11 feet of water. And the deep ones on this particular trip would be maybe as deep as 23, 24 feet. That was the belt that we were gonna work and find these pieces of structure. And we had a patch sitting behind us, maybe 30 feet back, put a block of chum overboard, chum's melting, going back in the area. Chris goes into the live well, broadcasts a bunch of live pilchards out on top, send a couple live bursts out there, and next thing you know, a lot of activity at the top. And that's when you send your pilchards back, and all of a sudden you just hang on because those rods are gonna bend. Oh, we got the bottom, come up, I got them off. Got them off. See that little thing? It got me in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, double up. What do we have here? I got the first mutton of the trip.
And make that two.
I was gonna brag, hey, I got the first mutton. I look at you, had one, so I had to really crank this in to beat you.
They are nice. We'll start with the small ones, and then they will get bigger.
George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing is proudly brought to you by Penn. Let the battle begin. Mako. You'll find them where the fish are. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Mercury Marine. Go boldly. George, we'll be right back.
I'm fishing the patch reefs off Key Largo in the Upper Florida Keys with Chris Hansen. The action just keeps getting better and better.
The variety of fish is really amazing. We're dropping back with a light gear and we're hooking up. And all of a sudden, we're in a wave of yellowtails, and you're catching yellowtail snapper.
Yellowtail coming in.
That's a nice yellowtail. Oh, another yellowtail.
It seems like they come in waves, you know. So some mangroves, get some muttons and some yellowtails.
Then the yellowtails dissipate a little bit, and all of a sudden, you're getting picked up. The bait's a little bit farther down at the bottom, and you're reeling in mangrove snapper.
That's nice mangrove.
Mangrove coming in.
He's got his feeding mask on.
Mangrove.
That's a nice mangrove.
That is not bad at all.
We had an incredible bite of mangrove snapper going on too. And then it seems that that wave would fizzle out just a little bit, and another species would take over.
We'll get these yellow jacks on the patches, and they'll come up in big schools. When you're catching them, you'll hook one, and 2 or 3 will follow the other one up. You'll hook another one. It's almost like you're out there offshore fishing for mahi.
Yellowjack going back in.
It's like catching mahi out on the ocean.
I know. Patch reef equivalent of mahi fishing, right?
And just as tasty.
Yeah, don't tell too many people. I already did.
Later.
The mutton snappers in this particular trip were really the predominant bottom fish, because not only would they come in waves and they would fade out, but they would come back in, and they were very, very consistent among everything else.
All in 12 feet of water. Isn't that funny?
It's fantastic. Little mutton.
Check them out.
Ooh.
There you go.
They are so pretty. Got that false eye.
Coming up with, oh, here he is right here. Nice mutton.
They are a little bit bigger in here, which is nice.
Whoa,
That's a
check
nice
this.
one.
That is. That's a beauty. Look at that, huh?
Then you would see just flashes racing through the chum slick. Cirro mackerel were there. You had Spanish mackerel, and I had hooked this one mackerel, nice size one too. So I'm watching this big Spanish mackerel, and out of nowhere, here comes this cuda, and bam, gets the Spanish mackerel on me.
Oh my God. Ooh.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Got his tail. Look at that.
And it just goes to show you the amount of predators that are around these patch reefs too. And this one barracuda decided he wanted that Spanish mackerel more than I did, and he did a good job. I think he chewed that thing all the way up to the gill plates, and we just watched in amazement as nature just took over, and this barracuda just turned it all up. That thing was almost as wide, and you could have put a saddle on that thing and rode him away to the sunset.
Sushi, anyone? Well, we're rounding out the first part of the first day, and I'm looking in the live well, and I'm looking in there, and I'm going, there's one little bitty grunt in there. Like, we've used pilchards all day. Let me throw this grunt on here and see what happens. I threw it out there and just kind of set the rod, and then I was like, I think I just got bit. Oh man, and it was a good bite. I put a little grunt on for bait that we caught this morning, and something whacked it hard. And I'm just getting them up now. Let's see what it is. Look at the size of this mutton snapper. Ooh,
okay,
look at that. Bam, baby.
Oh my gosh. The showstopper.
We talked about them all day. All day we talked about this fish.
Oh,
Look at that thing. All day we talked about that fish.
That was so nice. I didn't know he was going to go in the net.
That thing was kicking my butt there for a while. And then, man, that thing came up, and that was a nice mutton snapper. I looked at George, and I was like, I think this one's coming to dinner with us.
And sure enough, Chris, he was a hero. He pulled this monster of a mutton out. When the trip was ending, we were going to take some fresh fish to Snook's Bayside to have dinner.
The mutton snapper has a wide range throughout the Florida Keys, from deep offshore wrecks and reefs to nearshore patch reefs, channels, flats, and even gulfside rock piles and structures. They gather heavily for spawning during spring and again in the fall. Despite the shallow waters, big muttons roam the Florida Keys patches, especially during the cooler months when forage is most abundant. A big mutton caught on the patches is a true prize. Best bet? Soak a live pinfish or live ballyhoo on a small jig head or knocker rig on the bottom. In artbypasta.com from Catch to Canvas Rendering.
Catch the canvas, baby.
George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing is proudly brought to you by Simrad, for those who never settle. Rapala holds the world record for world records. Suffix, always use the best line. Starbright, clean and protect with Starbright. George, we'll be right back.
Chris Hansen and I are heading back to the Key Largo, Florida Keys patch reefs. But before we drop anchor, I must give a shout out to Ocean Point Suites, Key Largo. Our go-to resort when in Key Largo is Ocean Point Suites. Situated on 60 acres that are part of a protected mangrove forest in which abut the Atlantic Ocean, the property is a relaxing place to vacation at, or, in our case, base out of. The 170 units are individually styled and can accommodate up to 4 or 6 individuals. Resort suites each have separate bedrooms, a living room, dining area, and fully equipped kitchen. On-site activities include a pool, tennis court, marina that can accommodate boats up to 28 feet, a launch ramp for guests, and even trailer parking. Ocean Point Suites is within close proximity to some of Key Largo's finest restaurants, snorkeling and diving excursions, eco tours, kayaking, and of course, fishing. Now, let's get back to the fishing.
The next day, carbon copy of day one, a nice, crisp November day. We take off early out of sundowners, all the way on out to a couple of different patch reefs. We got in position, threw the hook, put a block of chum overboard. He broadcasted a dozen or so light filters on the top, got everything smoking up on top again. So here we are, total repeat from the day before, and bam, bam, it's going off.
I think you might be having a mutton over there.
I'm thinking so. That it is.
And I remember the big mutton that Chris caught the day before on a live grunt. So I take out the little heavier outfit that had a 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, a little bit heavier jig head. I hooked on the pinfish, threw it out, let it hit the bottom, and put the rod in the holder. All of a sudden, that rod bends and line starts smoking off the reel.
That ain't the pinfish.
It ate the pinfish. What do we have? I'm liking the fight. I'm sort of digging down. Maybe got a mutton here.
Might have a nice mutton.
Oh.
I need to get the
Yeah,
landing
may
net.
have to. I'm gonna come over to your side, Chris. Oh yeah, beauty, but looks like a beautiful mutton here. I'm gonna come over my side. Coming up, he's trying anyway. Come on, guy.
And I did the same thing Chris did the day before. I said, Chris, big mutton, get the net.
Look at that. Look at that thing.
That's a mutton snapper.
That
Key
is a
Largo,
nice
patch reefs.
mutton.
Woo! And the jig just came out. Hey, look at this. You talk about, look at that. Woo! Talk about living right. The rabbit foot is working today. Boy.
That's
Good
right.
luck.
Cruisin' Tiki's Key Largo is a unique means of taking in the water-based sights and sounds of Key Largo proper while sipping on a cold refreshment and leaving and navigating to someone else. We took a ride on a Cruisin' Tiki based at Sundowners. Owners Dan and Lori summed up what folks can expect on a typical tour.
We do a lot of family cruises, and the eco tour part is true. We see dolphins in the Florida Bay. We do see manatees more in the winter. Just trying to show the customers what the Florida Keys has to offer. and it is a 6-pack. So we take 6 passengers maximum. And when we get bigger groups, we do have 2 tiki boats that we can take up to 12. At our other location, we have 2 locations. One is at Snooks Bayside, and the location we're at now is the beautiful Sundowners at mile marker 104.
George's Tackle Locker.
With over 50 years of cooler innovation, Engel offers a vast lineup of hard coolers, soft coolers, live bait and dry box coolers, drinkware, tumblers, and much more. Engel products are designed for durability and to maintain the cold for extended periods. Likewise with their tumblers, which keep cold beverages cold and hot beverages like coffee hot for hours. The Engel products I rely on are their tumblers for that morning coffee while heading out, their hard coolers for icing down beverages for the team, with a second one designated for rig trolling baits. Also, for lunches and snacks, it's either an Engel soft cooler or dry box. And to keep small live baits the likes of crabs and shrimp handy, it's Engel's live bait cooler, which comes complete with its own aerator and related channeling. Check out the full line at engelcoolers.com.
Mercury Performance Stats, Key Largo, Florida Keys. Seas, calm.
Power, Mercury Pro XS V8 250 horsepower. Prop, Mercury Inertia Eco 19-inch pitch.
Total miles, 58. Consistent cruise, 5,500 RPMs. Speed, 45 miles per hour on average. Total fuel burned, 19 gallons.
George, we'll be right back. George, Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing is proudly brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. ACR, the leader in marine safety electronics. Papa's Pilar Artesian Crafted Rum. Never a Spectator. VMC, your expert in hooks. Art by Pasta, real life art. Visit artbypasta.com.
On day 2, I was back to the light tackle and free lining back and clicked the bail over, came tight, and bam, I got hit solidly and line is smoking off the reel.
Got a little speed, this thing just started smoking. Dropped that pilcher jig combo behind in the slick. I don't even know if it made it to bottom. Got nailed, ran straight out. Had the speed of a mackerel. Let's have a look. Here it is right here. Nice big mackerel.
Yeah, I freehand him.
Let him go. I'll work you up if you need to.
One more time.
Yeah. If you got to dump them. I'm here. You got it in. Put him in.
Look at
That old tail bit there, you know, it's a good way to do it, but you wonder, if there any big cooters or sharks under there, but you got to be quick.
You got to be quick.
And look at this, you know, you're talking a 20-pound fluoro cooler. Whoa.
I got
this way. I like them better this way. Here, let me reposition you. Click. All right, there. And tighten you back up. All right.
Then I think I got him by the tail and the leader, and then he kicked and didn't want to stay in the boat. I think George kind of twisted my shoulder a little bit, get him back in the boat. But man, that was a big zero we got.
Here we go, rack the rods, got 214, back to the barn, back to the slip. Chris went to work cleaning the fish. I went to work starbrighting the 214 Mako. And from there, we called it pretty much a half a day. We went back to our places and we got all ready and we regrouped and met back up over at Snooks Bayside in Key Largo for what proved to be an incredible dinner. And I've got to tell you, Snooks Bayside, the appetizers were incredible. Jumbo lump crab meat. They had fried lobster. You name it, it was out on that table. They have the coconut rum drinks that they'll serve. And Chris and his family were there. And we sat around, we just talked about the fun 2 half days that we had and the gorgeous weather. Just a great place to dine on incredibly fresh fish, and in our case, the ones that we caught earlier that day and the day before. What an incredible 2 days, actually 2 half days of fishing the Key Largo Patch Reefs with our good friend Chris Hansen. We had perfect weather, just the right conditions, and the bite was sensational.
Yeah, this was my 3rd show with George, and I'll tell you what, I think the 3rd time around was the best time around. Like fishing was absolutely phenomenal.
Take into account the Patch Reefs. Very easy to find, a block of chum. You can make this fishing as hard as or as easy as you want to make it, and the bite is usually very, very good. So it's sort of like one of the hidden gems of Florida Keys fishing and Key Largo. A lot of patch reefs, which translate into a lot of bent rods and a lot of smiling faces. If you want to keep track of our fishing adventures, we welcome you to follow us on our social media. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/George.Poveromo. I'm on Instagram at George Poveromo. And you can see our shows in 4K broadcast quality on YouTube at my YouTube channel, which is George Poveromo TV. Jump aboard and ride along with us.